Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church presents This Is Your Day with Dawne Biggs.
Welcome to another session of This Is Your Day. I have a very special guest with me today, and it is Tracie Brown. She's not special only because of her chosen profession, but because she is a child of the King and my sister in Christ. Tracie, thank you so much for being on my show today.
Thank you for having me, Dawn. I appreciate it.
We're going to be talking about your chosen profession because I think it's very significant, and you are an educator.
Yes.
Tell me how long you've been an educator, and was there anybody in your life that prompted you or encouraged you to go into the field of education?
Well, I've been an educator for 25 years now in completion, working on 26. All have been with the Baldwin County Public School System. I moved here immediately after college and began working Foley High School first, and then I moved to Daphne High School. In regard to that individual who inspired me, I have several. My grandmother being a pioneer in education to me, because she graduated from Alabama Teachers College in the early 1900s, 1920, as a matter of fact, 27, I believe. But she was one of those early pioneers. And she thus inspired my mother. And my mother and my father were both educators.
Okay.
So I've always grown around educators, and I've witnessed the wonder of which they've deposited into students. However, that was not my first choice.
Really?
When I can honestly say that just as ministers run from their calling, I ran from mine. My first choice was broadcast journalism, mass communications. Actually, I was a DJ. I had had some spots on a local radio station. I had begun to work on the campus television broadcast system, and that was my fervor. However, and this is why I tell people, do not ever let anyone speak over you something of which you know is not yours. Don't own it. And I allowed someone to speak me out of that particular path, if you will, not knowing that that wasn't my path in the first place. That was what I decided. I wanted to be the next Oprah Winfrey. I wanted to be the bomb when it came to that, and I felt that I could. But I had always been the one on the porch to be the teacher.
Wow.
So when we grew up, when we were playing outside and all of that, my mother would gather her old books and papers, and of course, being a teacher's kid, I helped to grade papers, but I graded the class's papers and so forth, not realizing that that would be my calling. And when you operate in your calling, then it becomes a passion. It's not a job, it's a passion.
I agree with that, and I believe sincerely that you're in your calling. I've been a student of yours.
Oh, wow.
In Sunday school.
Yes.
And it absolutely is a calling on your life.
Thank you.
I get excited when I see you coming up after pastor and it's your turn to do the lesson.
Yes.
You're so thorough, and you really evoke thought.
Thank you.
And you really get to the core of the lesson. And I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
You teach at Daphne High.
I do.
10th grade?
10th grade this year.
Okay.
Yes.
10th graders are, what, 15, 16?
Yes.
That's a tough age.
It's interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Tell me, as a parent and grandparent,
Okay.
what is our role in educating our children along with you? How can we support you? What is our role? I know you don't want parents to just blindly send their kids to school without any kind of preparation.
Exactly. And oddly enough, that happens more often than not. Because, and it's not that the parents do not want to give and to, I'll say, deposit again into their children. Sometimes life circumstances will not allow us to do as much as we would want. However, every parent and grandparent can, what I call, set the atmosphere. The tone in the home, the tone in the car, the tone even in the conversation, in that we want you to aspire to be your best. and to aspire to be the greatest, whatever that great may be.
That's good.
From one day to another, we have a greater. And I try to instill within my students the motto, expect the great. Every time you walk into my door, expect the great. Your mindset sets that tone. So if parents and grandparents could merely set the atmosphere, if parents could be the ones of which the children see reading, the children see speaking certain ways. It's not an if you call an ethnical aspect, it's an aspect of being proper in grammar. And many students feel the barrier, well, I'll be teased and whatever. Be teased, because in the end, when you are in front of an interviewer, that interviewer will be impressed by your vernacular, by your usage of the what they call the Queen's English, or whatever dialect, whatever.
That's true.
Whatever speech, whatever you want to use. Just be, if you will, the best you can within it. And lastly, before that child closes his or her eyes or whatever, make sure that they, if you will, have had a digital escape. I often find that students fall asleep with their phones. Even my son, I have to tell him, Hamilton, please, take a break, because they need that break. And conversation is key. Conversation is key. I would tell anyone the one barrier of which all of our students have is the ability to communicate effectively with one another. They could be right next to each other and texting each other. And it's sad, but it's true. So parents and grandparents can set that tone, set that atmosphere in the morning, set that positive tone throughout the day. Little notes mean so much to children. They think, even my son likes a little note every now and then, but it does. And then reading and modeling and speaking definitely would help in terms of empowering our children.
We need that information, and I think that we as parents and grandparents do try to do the best, what's in the best interest of our children.
Right.
That's great information. Now, children get out of school for the summer,
Yes.
and it's a long summer for us. I'm sure the kids are happy, and you're excited that you're off. You have some time off. What should we do, again, as parents and grandparents, within that 3-month period?
Create ways that would be fulfilling for them without their knowing that you're actually impressing upon them the use of a skill. For instance, the communication aspect. Visiting, for instance, a museum, or visiting even individuals in a nursing home. Going places that, oddly enough, they would not anticipate to go, but watching how they interact with others, for instance, strangers. It impresses upon them their personality. They find out more about themselves. Oddly enough, if you would ask a teenager, especially 10th graders, 11th graders, what type of person are you? Sadly enough, many of them would not be able to give you 3 adjectives or 3 traits of which they possess.
Wow.
They become stumbled. So during the summer, develop their character, develop the community building skills, develop even in the home team building skills. Have them to help you cook, have them to help you, wash dishes, and in conversation, have fun with it. But whatever the case is, develop relationship. Because in the end, when they transition to school, all of that will be noted. All of that will be noted.
Thank you, Tracie.
You're
Thank
so
you so much
welcome.
for sharing that. Can I share that with my friends and
Oh,
my family?
sure.
I'm going to do
Definitely.
just that.
No problem.
Thank you
No
so much
problem.
for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me. I have thoroughly enjoyed it.
This has been This Is Your Day with Dawne Biggs, and I have been chatting with Tracie Brown. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon on the next episode of This Is Your Day.